here with
Nicole Santiago.
Nicole Santiago, first AC on Pit Bulls and Piranhas, and many other things. You wear quite a few hats. Introduce yourself and tell us some of your roles.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Well, for this specific film, I was first AC, so that's focus pulling, which I like to do quite often. I think it's a fun role to do. I also DP and write and direct as well.
Just for a few people, AC is assistant camera and DP is
Yes.
director of photography, just in
Yes.
case. Um, for those who know, they know.
For
And
those
every
who know.
seems to have their own abbreviations for everything. Um, so, your role was first AC. So, focus polling is a pretty much you can't have a DP without a first AC. They go hand in hand. It's symbiotic. So your role, I'm gonna play a clip. I'm on the floor with the camera, and then you'll tell us right after that clip what you're doing
Okay.
in the other room. All right, let's roll the clip.
You do what you want to me. You wanna kill me?
All right, intense. The whole film is intense, so get ready.
Yeah.
But I'm there, I'm literally not doing anything but putting the camera where the camera needs to be. You are literally the eyes of the camera.
Which is scary.
You have a nucleus connected.
Hmm.
You are making, some people make marks on focus, but I didn't see any marks on yours, but I wasn't that attentive.
I can't remember. I think I might have for that shoot. I think I might have because I see in pictures that I have the tape on there, but I could be wrong. Because it was such a fast. I think it was like the day before that you were like, "Hey, I need somebody. Can you come?" So there wasn't like, and then we just kind of jumped in. Um, but that scene in particular was like intense. I mean, that whole day was really intense. Just like and like challenging in a way that I hadn't really been challenged as an AC before, because you were doing handheld, you were in a tight space. I think we were like wide open, and there's so much movement with the actors. Like, and I remember that like that scene and the one that's kind of like the reverse of that um, of Timothy, I think his name.
Mm-hmm.
Those were really hard because you're just like right there with them, and within like 2 feet, 3 feet, especially with the lenses that we're using, the dual lens. Oh, it gets tough. Like the throw is like really large. So any movement like this is like a whole like hand
Wow.
turn. Um, so that was intense, but it looked okay in that, so I feel good.
Yeah, no, everything looks great. It I didn't even think about it in that in terms of how close we were. It was intimate shots throughout. There's only a couple scenes where I back up and get a wide. And again, we needed the space to get a wide, and that particular location was very challenging.
Yeah.
And you, unfortunately, didn't have the opportunity to go before to kind of acclimate to and prepare. I think I probably told you we're literally clown carring it.
Yeah. I think word for word that's what you said. And I was like, she's being dramatic. No.
We were in a closet. I mean,
Yeah.
it was quite a few of us. I think we had 12 crew that day. Not all 12 could be inside. We had multiple people outside. We were so spaced out because there was just no room. It was a mobile home trailer, and it was, what do you call it, remodeled to be even smaller than it actually was.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
So that side room was an add-on, and then it was made the living room and a bedroom.
Nice.
So very, to make something small.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know if the subfloor, if the walls, we didn't know how much weight it could actually hold with the fish and everything else. So we were really riding on a wing and a prayer.
I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
Because it's one elderly lady that lives there.
Yeah.
Eventually we had some things happen. We busted through a wall. Glaze's whole body went through a wall. And not like through it, but through it.
I was like, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and then the bed in the bedroom fell through the floor. So the subfloor got weakened in one area.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know the right word to choose, but it was very particular, the type of location that was needed for the film. It had to be predated and no upgrades. And that was incredible to find Teresa's place with no upgrades from the 1960s, 70s.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was able to meet our period piece, from a visual aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then we got more room, but you weren't on those days. I know you had
But I was on, was it the first day or
day
the
one?
First day. Okay.
The most exciting, nerve-wracking. You're starting the movement.
Yeah.
What goes on behind the scenes in your role? You were so detailed. You had your tape and your markers and everything that you needed to get your head right, to go into focus pulling and really do everything needed for first day seeing. But what goes on behind the scenes that no one really sees?
I mean, I think that a good way to kind of think about the first AC is that, like, the DP is in charge of camera department and G&E. But like, I would say the AC is kind of managing the camera department, like under their, their purview, right? But they're doing kind of the technical management of the camera department so that the DP can be focused on, everything that they're focused on, the creative look and also the technical things. But, we're handling more of the nitty gritty, I guess. So we build the camera. We, in this, like on this project, I think I was DIT sort of like media managing as well. We had Video Village. It was a small crew, so it was kind of like we're like you and me are like we're camera department, we're doing everything. Yeah, and just I mean, obviously focus pulling, like we're handling the rig and everything, but while you're shooting, like that's what I'm doing the whole time. There's a lot of like roles where like you don't do anything while like camera's rolling. But for like first AC and like sound, that's when like our job is like the most crucial. So that's kind of mostly what happens there.
Yeah, it is a dance because art department, lighting, they're all pre. Once we get to that shot, it's those three departments are on. Everyone has to be so quiet on set, and everyone else's job is done until we call cut. And it's the on moment. It's so exciting. I love the magic of set. I think that's probably the next Nope, it's not. But let's skip to it. What was your favorite part about being on set, this set, and or any set?
Oh man. Favorite part about being on this. I mean, this set was really fun. This was the first time that I got to work with you, which was really cool. And like I loved the crew that you had, like Forte, Kufre, Mimi, Gio was there. Like I knew all of these people, and then like I got to meet new people also, and everyone's in like cool vibes with each other. Like everyone, it's like I walked in and it seemed like everybody kind of knew what was going on already. Like it seemed like everybody was prepared. Um, and it was just like a matter of putting the pieces together. But it was fun because there were so many things like that were kind of difficult about it. Like, you know, we're in a small space. It's like the hottest day in the world. It's like raining. We're in this teeny tiny place. I don't know, and that's like exciting. And there's times where those kinds of things make me super anxious and like can turn me into like send me down a spiral of like badness. But like you have a way of running things that it's like you make people feel welcome, and you made me at least feel like confident in myself. And that's kind of when I perform the best, because like if I feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, like I kind of that ends up happening, like I fumble and stuff. But you were like, oh, you girl, you know what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, I guess I do. And like I felt like empowered to do my best there.
Oh, you were so prepared. I was the details were there. I was so impressed with your onset, everything you did. I was like absolutely obviously would work with you again and have continuously. Which I think was one of my first statements when we were on the FaceTime the very first time we met. I was like, oh, I like you. Centered you are, how bold you are, confident, you know. And so it's like I am so grateful you say that the set empowered you, but you also came with all that, you know. It was like a matching of energy.
Thank you, that's sweet. But I mean, like, you know, it's funny because I was kind of thinking about like reflecting on the set before this, and I don't know, I didn't really think about that until you just asked the question. So you just like sparked that thought in me, because like I don't know, working with under like a non-male DP is also a big like part. Like I don't want to say like that's a big part of it, but it kind of is. Like it there's just a different like environment of comfortability and like confidence, I guess. I don't know, but I don't know.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, DPs were at 4% last year. Maybe they're at 4.5% this year as a national total.
Are you serious?
If we're like very that low in the industry of the data they've collected, of the organizations they looked at, it was 4%.
That's
6-7% directors, et cetera, et cetera. The percentage is so incredibly low. I would love to be a part of that tiny little tick up,
yeah.
And making sure that, you know, more women have the opportunity to get the job. Because a pain point for me is a lot of times I offer it to a female, but then they give it away. They say, oh, I'm not sure if I have all the qualifications. My male counterpart does. And I'm like, you'll never get the qualifications if you don't take the opportunities. And so I try to just, lay it all out there, let them decide, but always nudge them, like, take the job.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that's, psychologically, male versus female. Males will take a job they're underqualified for, and women won't. I don't know why. It's just a battle of the mindsets or whatnot. But it's statistically, studied.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm like a yes to everything film, like get me on set. I love DPing. I love producing. I love directing. It's just so much fun to be active and get your hands like in it. Because there's a magic to filmmaking, and there's also the challenges, which is a question you teetered on it quite a bit, but the challenges, what challenges did you face specifically, and how did you overcome them? I know you came in blind and was like, damn, it's hot in here.
Oh, she said it was hot, but I didn't think it was going to be that hot. Challenges. I mean, kind of what like I touched on before with that scene in particular, like, man, I was struggling with focus that day. That was really tough. And like, even after that, like, I think I had done that set, and then I did another set after where I just kind of like, I don't want to say I blew it, but like I felt like I blew it, I was like, oh, like I did all the wrong things, like I missed my marks there, and da da da. And so after those two sets, I was like, man, like I was just feeling really like down about myself. Like I don't know. But I think I also, I was talking to like my partner about it, and like he was trying to spin me to think about it like, these are like, you're getting practice, right? Like you're learning on every set. And so you might think like, oh, you did the worst like pulling that you could have possibly done that day, but like, don't be so hard on yourself. You're only going to get better. And I think that was like a big challenge that wasn't just like that day, but it was just like the mindset I was in at that time of like, man, like I don't know if I can, I don't know, just doubting myself, right? Which I think is a part of why, like what you were saying before, like we hand off these jobs to other people, to men specifically. Like I totally have done that before. Like, oh no, I'm not ready, I'm not qualified, whatever. I know somebody who is. And I think that we, like, as non-male people, doubt ourselves a lot more than we should. So, yeah, it's crazy. Like this is just one day, right? But it really did, like, that was like a moment in my life. So it's interesting how impactful that day was.
I think it's sort of so strange that we can have these polar opposite experiences. I love Nicole. Can't wait to work with her again. Everything you did, because I think you may tinge on a little bit of perfectionism. You're very, very, very precise. So if you are a mindset of perfect is right, you're going to be harder on yourself.
Yeah.
Which we hope you can therapize yourself through, and make sure you're gentle with yourself and be like, wow, that was a great opportunity to learn more or mess up. I've messed up a whole lot. Failure is forward movement, so I know that there was no shot on this set that I had to throw away because of focus. So
okay. I'm choosing to trust you.
I would have been like, not hiring Nicole again.
Oh man.
Focus. It was so good, and everything, again, it was so intense, and I think we were all in the vibe. And you flowed right in, and it was just, the film family of the day. It's how we kind of operate.
Thank you for
Well,
saying that. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah, and I've loved working with you off of this set. You know, we have a
Yeah.
really nice synergy, and we have our little things that we do, and we do them.
Yeah.
But you're such a good team player like that. You know, not everyone has that gift or quality. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
same.
This one, you were only on set one day, but I'll ask, what was your favorite scene to film and why? And I think we were filming one whole big scene that whole day. I think it was
Yeah.
7. So I don't think you got a lot of diversity in your
No, but in terms of like, it's funny that you picked that scene, because that one was really like that one struck me a lot because uh that was the first time that I had seen Glay, right?
Mhm.
Uh perform, and that was like crazy. I said it to you before, but like her
Wow.
that was the most like incredible acting, or like at least like just impactful acting that I've been in the presence of on set. Like watching her like go through first, just to start, like she's like chilling, she's like cracking jokes and everything, and then she just jumps into that like crazy.
I call it
uh
like an acting possession. It's like and then she's the character.
it's wild. And then, just the range of emotions that she is going through in that scene alone, that let alone that shot alone was just like, that was really cool to watch, and to watch like as it's happening on the screen, like, dude, this is something crazy that we're getting.
Mm-hmm.
That was super exciting to be a part of.
Her, like, every time she takes a breath on camera, it's intentional. So it's just unbelievable, incredible, and it feels like you're a part of something larger than yourself because it's this magical moment
Yeah.
where she's giving her all. So I'll definitely be tagging Glay in this, and
Oh my god, yeah.
because
I'm obsessed.
everyone loves. Yeah, that was it.
And the two of them together also, like their chemistry was crazy. And then again, as soon as it cuts, like they're the sweetest people in the world. Like it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You never know why certain things happen the way they happen. I casted originally. I started casting in November of 2019, and then to be on track for like a March to May production of 2020. Well, we all know that wasn't. So I had to delay it. Well,
Yeah.
by the time COVID was over, I was like, I have to recast. Like, these conversations are old, and let's just go back to the drawing board.
Mhm.
So for whatever reason, when I got those self tapes from particularly Tim, Glay, and everyone in it, it's like a weird knowing when you see a self tape that is doing what you want it to do on screen.
Mhm.
Like they don't have any of the lighting and all this art department and everyone assisting their characterization, and they're pulling off a brilliant award-winning self-tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it makes the casting process so easy. I was like,
Mhm.
this is it. This is the one. Here we go. I was so
It's awesome.
excited. So this movie is about a young girl and her journey into womanhood. But what we're going to be addressing outside of generational trauma, mental health, domestic violence, substance abuse, and so on, is we're talking a lot about cycle breaking.
Mhm.
You know, kind of what is a cycle and what characteristics does someone need to break a cycle they're in? So that could be, so what makes a cycle breaker in your eyes?
Like, well, okay. I need more context. Like,
Okay.
in your eyes, what would a cycle breaker be? Like,
Sure. In theory, right?
mhm.
So many ways to theorize it, but they might need an identity or self-awareness. They have to bounce off of their reality and go, I don't like this. I don't want to continue down this pattern. And some of it's generational. You know, the cycles, many of it's generational, actually, when we think about it. So there's an unawareness to what people are, how people are behaving and the actions of others, and how you're involved, whether it's directly or indirectly. So I think sense of awareness is like key, but you've got to have a ton of other, not a ton. Let's say like if there were 5 qualities of a cycle breaker, I think they would need to have a motivation or drive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a will to want to break the cycle, an awareness of what the cycle is, you know, and then I just teeter-totter around different theories.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're watching Samantha hopefully do. We're seeing her in this cyclical environments and seeing how she's responding to each.
Mm-hmm. So a cycle could be something very small, but it could also be something at the magnitude that, you know, you're speaking on with this film, right?
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. I think that like reflection is, which is kind of what you're saying with like a sense of awareness, like, and you could be reflective to a negative degree, right? Because I'm trying to think about it like in the context of, you know, like experiences that I've had in like my own life. And yeah, just being aware of what's happening, and no one's really going to change unless they want to. So like you can't, like, nobody else is going to break the cycle for you. You have to be the one to do it. And you have to be aware of it. And if that leads to like you needing to hit rock bottom to like break through that cycle, then that's a thing. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. That's me speaking about it in a very vague way.
I loved it. I relate to that very much. Many people can relate to rock bottom. You know, a lot of cyclical things. If we were just to touch on addiction, you know, and the cycle that's inside of that. If we were to touch on mindset, positive versus negative, and what is a deep depression, and what is pathological depression, and what is, you know, and I'll take blah blah.
Yeah.
So you just don't know, and there's so many unique stories throughout the world, and I love that we as filmmakers, and I love oral storytelling and every kind of storytelling, but filmmakers have a really neat responsibility to show these stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's we get to show it, which makes me incredibly nervous because in approximately 48 hours on the dot, we will be showing Pit Bulls and Piranhas, which is an incredible adventure. It's a journey into the underbelly. So we're going into a niche connection to a very certain type of folk, and sharing their struggles to induce or open up conversation around empathy for exactly what they are experiencing that they may not have ever shared.
Yeah.
They're not common stories. What you have to get to know someone pretty well to get, on this level of storytelling. But I've had a couple reviewers, and so far the reviews are, that was intense. That was disturbing. And that made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So it occurs to me that if you can sit and be uncomfortable with yourself for about 15 minutes, you can get through the screening.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're doing this, right? Like, that's what film's about, is showing people a completely different side of things that like maybe they never would have thought of. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I got to see it at tech rehearsal. It's wild. I was having a moment with myself because I'm thinking about 20 things, and technical things and this and that. I really want to go in as a viewer on the night.
It's going to be so hard.
Yeah, I probably will walk out and then come back in because it's so hard to watch your work in the company of others. It's just a very vulnerable task. And I hope to see it for the art that it is. When I watched the dynamic acting, I'm like, wow, this is an adventure into acting. These characters are like alive and well, and they nuance them, and the supporting characters don't feel like they're a supporting character. They feel like they're in it. Like they're jumping off those pages, so realistic. It's very cool. And then art department and lighting and everybody who contributed to the visuals, and now we have post sound and the whole process.
So cool.
And it's gonna be a wild night, for sure.
How does it feel like, I don't know, because being the DP and directing, right? Like doing all of those things, producing, you're involved in like all of the post aspects of it. So you've probably seen it quite a few times, right? Like, how does that feel? I don't know. Are you able to like disconnect yourself from it? Because I don't know. I find that very hard. Like after editing and everything.
When you say disconnect yourself, do you mean like watch it like an audience member? There's no way.
It's so, yeah.
I'm way too close to the work, and I'm looking and hearing, and it's so contextual for me. But I know and stand behind the good work of the team. Like every single person's talents, you can see them or hear them. It's an experience. It's a full-on effect. It makes me uncomfortable. So I know, and I love being uncomfortable. So it's going to work.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I guess I have some concerns, fears, whatever you want to call them. Like, are people going to walk out of the theater because it's too much? And I'm like, that's kind of what I love about it, is I had the opportunity to hold in places a little longer than I should. And that's the power of editing. Yeah, that's the power of storytelling, is like hanging on to something to underline it, to really drive it home, and then switching it up. And then we go into this other scene, and I'm really proud of the work we did as a whole. It will be incredible to hear some of the reviewers, like for real reviews because like a friend of mine said, she said, a rom-com they're all after the same thing. They got to hit these beats. They got to do this thing. The film you've created is not hitting beats.
Yeah.
It isn't to get a very specific response. You're going to have a mixed bag. You're going to have people who love it. You're going to have people who dislike it so much, and I love a bad review. So bring them. You know, I hope someone says, I wish I had gone my whole life and never saw that film.
Yeah.
Because that will literally get me the niche audience that love those kind of films. Because this isn't a film for everybody. It's a film for everybody. You know?
I love that.
So we'll see. Well, how much have you played around with the term generational trauma? Like, are you
Quite a bit, my friend.
how would you define it? And like, because that's what we're really that's another underlining thing in the film. Of course, it's a full film, and this is just the proof of concept.
Yeah.
You can't get all those concepts out, but we're setting the stage for what these cyclical generational traumas, how they impact younger folk, and how they stay so rooted. Yeah, I personally love that we've been talking more about generational trauma, but how has it occurred in your own life or your understanding?
I mean, well, so I recently like completed my thesis film at Dade, and that was like what it's about.
Oh wow.
Just kind of generational trauma and like the relationship between like mother and daughter. In regards to particularly like abuse and like emotional, physical, whatever and like eating disorders as well. So that's kind of how my life has been like touched by generational trauma. Not necessarily that like I guess my mother directly had any of those things, but watching it from the perspective of like, or I guess observing it as a young female presenting child, like just the little things that not just your mom, but your sisters, your aunt, your cousins, whatever, any like females in your life that are older are going through in regards to eating, weight loss, dieting, self perception, um, like negative self image. So that's kind of where I've been touched by that. And I've struggled with eating disorders myself. So I think breaking that cycle of generational trauma, and we're back to cycle breaking.
Yeah.
It's thematic. That kind of like, I think you kind of have to be exposed to the outside world to break a cycle. Now that I'm thinking about it more, like being stuck inside of it and only seeing what like is happening like within that environment is not going to help. Like you kind of got to see how other people are living and see like, oh, whoa, like it doesn't have to be like this. Like I can move past it and find tools to better myself and not let this happen to anyone else. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I love a heavy theme. I think that's one of them. I'm coming from being an 80s baby.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up as a young person, I saw supermodels. That was all there were. So you had to look like the ideal woman looked like this.
Yeah.
And our smut magazines like Playboy and such, they would Photoshop perfectly mirrored moments of the private areas on a woman. I didn't know this. So you're looking at these pictures and you're going, I don't look perfect. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Like,
That's crazy.
I don't, I remember this kind of heroin chic thing that came down the runways.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have this celebration of all bodies, all skin tones, all, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
This is such a great time to be, not to say that there aren't still all of the problems with eating disorders and dysmorphia and everything like that. Sure, there absolutely. But now we have this Lizzo with her mission to have full-bodied acceptance, and a number of celebrities using their voice to really empower different diversity.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
at highest. Man, when I was little, I would stand in the mirror and my legs touched, my thighs touched. So I would pull them and prod them and like try to make myself look skinnier.
Yeah. Been there.
I got older and I got skinnier by accident. And now I want to put on the weight again. It's like the complete opposite has happened. And I'm like, whoa. This kind of full-bodied look is more desirable, or and it's like every body is desirable, but now we have different things to look at, and I'm just so grateful. At least that content is out there.
Mm-hmm. I think the part, like, the things that worry me a little bit about things that we see like on Instagram or whatever nowadays is like, I love that, and that's a beautiful thing that there is a lot of that, of like body positivity and everything, but there's like a kind of like an underlying subtext a lot that is like, it's about, I don't know how to word this, like, it's about making yourself, I don't know, I gotta think about that more. I've totally lost my train of thought.
No, I'm following you. You're in your however mode, right? Like, so there's these positive things, but there's this negative undercurrent still.
It's like too positive sometimes, like glorifying our bodies when our bodies should just be. I think, like, at least in my own experience of kind of like overcoming things, because then we start to get hyper focused on like, oh well, but like I'm like, I look good, right? Or like these, I don't know, you're focused on the look of it when it should just be like, we shouldn't have any we should be neutral. Like, there shouldn't be like, oh, this body is like hot and it shouldn't be about desiring, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is this extreme nature that's, I think in America it's a little more because we have so much publicity and press and popular culture news and this kind of thing. In the same segment, and I'll pop back, the reason I really wanted to do Pit Bulls and Piranhas is because I had always seen this lifestyle glamorized on telly. So it's like, even in my comps, my comparables, it's a costume. It's not what, it's an accent. You can tell. And it's like, wow. So no one's going to do it gritty.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's going to show me, and everyone understands it's a movie. But I was like, man, I don't see myself in this. I see a stereotype, a trope. I appreciate that I can see it. So it's similar to what you're saying. It's like, I appreciate I can see this body positivity, but also, where's the radical acceptance in? Why are we even talking about it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the way you word things. I love talking to you.
But America, the beautiful, is so extreme. We
Yeah.
have just, look at our politics. Look at it has to be one side or the other. We don't have this kind of middle point of view, which I would love.
Yeah.
In so many areas. Maybe another interview will jump into that. Going back to a few questions, what advice would you give your younger self in respect to your role on set? So someone looking to get into first AC or DP, if you want to separate them. You also said director, writer.
Yeah, writing, directing.
Yeah, you said a few.
I mean, I think just overall, like something I would say to younger me or younger other people. Okay.
Both.
Okay. Younger me, I would say to believe more in myself. Like while also, there is a balance of like knowing what you want and believing in yourself, and also like it's a collaboration. So like listen to, the knowledge of others. But I think for me specifically, like, and I still struggle with this, like going on a set and being confident in like the knowledge that I have built up, like, I know some things, and just trusting in myself and not like being too like, oh, well, what do you think? Like, well, I don't know. What do you think we should do? Cause like, that's a great thing. And that is like, we should totally be doing that, especially with like all the wonderfully intelligent and talented people that we work with. But I don't know. I think like I've really only worked with like 2 non-guy DPs, I think, and you're one of them. So like watching you and the other one is Sophie, like you guys allow for collaboration, but when I'm watching you, like you also know what you want, and you're okay like telling people like, no, but that's like, this is what I'm thinking for this scene, and like you are like strong and rooted in that. And that's something that I would definitely tell myself is like, don't let yourself walk all over yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds as simple as just the baseline of confidence is like knowing every time I take a job that seems a little over my qualifications, I get on set and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know way more than I thought I knew. Mm-hmm. It's like somehow the insecurity is like, tomorrow my brain will be white blank of all things production. And then it's not. You have so much experience. You know what's coming next. You know what you're doing. And you get up there and you just problem solve. That's our job, to put out these creative fires left and right.
Yeah. And it's okay to be scared too. Like one of my professors said that like, if he's not like nervous before going on a set, even after like all these years, like something's wrong. Like you should feel like that's why we do what we do, like the unpredictability, and like, oh, how can I figure this out today? So just being like comfortable in that is very important as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You kind of answered this next question, but in the event there's another person, is there any one person that stood out to you on set? This is your shout out or highlight. We highlighted Glay a lot.
Well, in terms of crew, like the first person that came to my mind was Gio, because dude, I've worked with her on like a number of sets at this point, and I just like every time I am on set, I see her like fucking hustling, man. Like She works so hard. Like, I know people appreciate her, but I still want to like say it because like she's always working so hard. She's like, and she's working in art, so she's working before like we can. I just come on set right the day of, but she's like in pre-production working on stuff. And I don't know, she's just like very locked in, super professional, and very like inspiring to me and like work ethic, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Her and Alejandro made a dynamic duo.
Yes, they kick ass.
She knew exactly what she needed. She was like, I've got to bring someone on. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then I kept stacking her with plenty of other things. She did wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
And then in tandem was doing special effects, dirtying everyone up and getting, sweat was being added, etc. Like she literally filled in all of the blanks that we didn't even know we needed filled in at the time with a smile the whole time, and is so genuine. And forget about it. Another one where I was like, I can't wait to continue with you.
I can't wait to work with you forever.
All the time. I just want to do something where all of us get to do something together.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And so I totally agree in that shout out. But I have a set crush on everybody. So what is the greatest lesson you've learned in your life?
Whoa, that's a heavy question.
It could be super simple. Alejandro said something so simple. Now I forgot. I'll have to watch his interview again. But he was like, essentially like dot your I's and cross your T's sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anticipate or I forget exactly what it was, but it was so simple. I'm like, yeah, that is one of those things that changes your life, just little things.
Yeah. I mean, if I answered this, it would probably change like every day, right? But right now, the thing that is coming to my mind is listen. And not just like listen, but listen thoughtfully and with care. And take that however you want. But for me, like, I think that this kind of goes into sort of what you were asking of like what's something that you would tell someone who's like trying to do like the roles that you're doing. Like listening is so important, and being like humble with the way that you listen to people, and just absorb the knowledge that people are willing to share with you and use it for good, I think.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, just like I was expressing, something as simple as listening. Some people are not actively listening. They are already thinking of the next question or the response or the this or that. So the presence is taken out of the conversation fully.
Yeah. And that's, as someone with ADHD, that's hard, right? Like, but I'm like constantly trying to put myself back on track. Like, okay, don't stay in it. Like, stay present in the moment. Don't think about like ABC. Think about what's right in front of you at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That absolutely. And then our finale question. If you had a magic door that opened to anywhere, where would it lead you?
Someplace where I don't know. This could mean so many different things. But on a grand scale, like a world that is a little less plagued with darkness and meanness would be really cool. A more peaceful and kind world, that would be cool. On a like personal level, just a place where like a little cottage, man, like a cottage like in the forest, where time just like stopped for a second and you could just like chill, enjoy yourself, do your art, bake some cookies, like that sounds really nice.
I am going to send you my favorite nearby, 3 hours away, local Airbnb where I go to write.
Wait, is this, you told me about this? I think this is a place that has like no power, right?
It's solar powered, but only like 12 volts. Little cabin, treehouse essentially, with a fire pit and this and that. And I go out there and I do my thing, and you're completely unplugged. You don't have internet or anything like that.
Mhm.
You can play, music or whatnot, but not Wi-Fi. So from your car, you can play something. And then the town is just 10 minutes in, but because you're just right on the outskirts of Arcadia in this little town called Ona,
Mhm.
the wildlife, the trees, the everything that we need to nurture, especially the writer's side of the brain, that complete rest, absolute relax.
Mhm.
Sitting out, had made a fire, and I hear this rustling. There's every animal. We're in Florida. There's every animal out there. There's live alligators in the ponds. They don't bother you. You don't bother them. They're just out doing their thing. There's an otter in a den over here. There's little paw prints for wild hog and wild cat. So they don't know what kind of cat.
Mhm.
Obviously, Florida is native to the panther. Don't know, but you can go, and I hear this rustling, and I'm like, no, it's too much rustling. An armadillo came out of the bush, and I was like, okay, phew. I was like, this is a big animal, very big. And then I was like, but if it was a wild cat, it wouldn't be that rustly,
Yeah.
But I was like, I have absolutely nothing to help me if this is a major problem. But it was a cute little armadillo, and they just went about their way. And
keeps you on your toes, though.
yeah. Oh, I had the full experience. But yeah, outside of that, keep creating. Nicole, I'd really love to see your thesis project. That sounds really good, in a way that it's deep and meaningful.
Mhm.
And I can't wait to work with you again. I can't wait to refer you. I can't wait to do all the things and make sure that we're all, just keeping on. So, yeah.
Same here. 'Tis always a pleasure. And I love just like bouncing deep and heavy thoughts off of you because you're
Yeah.
game for it.
Yeah, we talked about, cyclical like aspects, generational trauma. I think we hit a few nails on the head there. But I'll definitely see you very soon for a very exciting evening. And hang out for a minute. I'm going to end our stream. Bye, y'all.